You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Yes, yes, yes. Hipsters here. Haters beware. And just want to say, shout out to Igloo, Potential Lunatic, One Parade, and Mike Gross in the chat already. Shout out to you guys. Mike saying he's going to take his crow. I don't have the crow soundbite. I'm sorry. But Kaka, you definitely deserve that crow. Ron, what up, Ron? Man, I can't believe the amount of good fights we had this weekend. For a weekend that was a little bit underserved or underrated, I would say. A ton of great matchups, a ton of great fights. I think were displayed from MMA to the UFC. I believe there is a Eddie Bravo Invitational today on UFC Fight Pass. Go check that out after you listen to this, of course. But yeah, tons of fights. I mean, first off, we already did a Clarissa Shields, Hannah Gabriel's review, so we won't cover that. But just want to still mention that at least because that still was arguably the best fight of the weekend. So shout out to the women just holding it down. Hold on, let me give you the soundbite. Shout out to the women, man. But yeah, so many fights to get into. And obviously, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. This is Mixed Combat Radio. Go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio to help support the channel. I do have some announcements coming soon. And for anyone that wants to get on board with this, email me. Where is it? Right here. mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. Email me. You have to email me. I know some of you in there have DM'd me, have texted me, etc. Please email me for any business inquiries. But digressing, yes, so many fights to get into. Mike in the chat saying, long live, living life ready to talk boxing. Yes, definitely get that. Definitely deserve. Postol looked good. The knockdown was the difference. Those judges got paid good. Definitely get into that. But I mean, we're going to jump into that, I think, right off the bat because Josh Taylor, Viktor Postol are having no U.S. distribution at all. Was easily the fight. Mike said, "You're going to respond?" Yes, I'm going to respond, of course. Come on, Mike. There was obviously a transition the last week. That's why it was a little bit difficult to talk to you. But digressing. I mean, this fight was the fight of the weekend in terms of what it meant. Taking away, obviously, the Clarissa Shields, Hannah Gabriel's, and Christina Hammer fight. Johnny in the chat, what up? And I think this delivered on so many levels. From somebody that thought Taylor was going to have a much easier time with Viktor Postol, I am absolutely shocked at the version of Viktor Postol we got. And just the version of the fight we got. This was a hyper-competitive fight throughout. It was a fight that, even when in rounds that you could tell one guy won, it was back and forth. Both guys were landing shots throughout. I would say the overall arching theme of the fight was adaptability. It was the fact that we saw one fighter adapt and one did not. We saw Josh Taylor adapt from the early, especially that first round. And Viktor Postol, even though he didn't hurt Josh Taylor, he landed a ton of shots and looked like he just utterly dominated that first round. The first round was probably the most clear round of the fight, other than probably the knockdown round. And that was Viktor Postol just boxing him up, using 1-2s, using the 3s. Ron in the chat saying those judges were garbage. Definitely getting into that. Awful scorecards. But Viktor Postol, I mean, his fundamentals, his ability to really catch you when you're on that center line. That was one thing I noticed with both Josh Taylor and Viktor Postol. Viktor Postol, his entire game plan is predicated on you being in that center line to be able to hit you with that 1-2 and then maybe a right hand to the body because you're stuck there. And Taylor's upper body movement, his head movement, his footwork, that eventually was giving Postol trouble because Postol was not able to land as frequently as effectively as a Josh Taylor. Because Josh Taylor, his angles were much more diverse, his combinations were much more diverse. You can tell that he adapted his game plan throughout the fight. That looping left hand wasn't there in the first 4 rounds. He added that midway through the fight because he could tell that Postol would leave his jab out there. He would leave himself open with that jab. He'll throw the jab out, and he'll drop his right hand, and then he'll just fucking scoop water the whole way back, Postol will. So you can catch him after that, too. If you can slip and roll under the 1-2, you can catch Postol. And he did that throughout. But, of course, it was competitive. The big thing that I saw was the defensive ability of Josh Taylor. Even though people might hate on it, he initiated a lot of the clinching in this fight. And I'm not insinuating that it was like a boring fight, because obviously I think it was a very highly entertaining fight. But that, to me, was a high-level skill from Taylor. Obviously a higher amateur pedigree than a Viktor Postol. That's what came into play right there. That, when he would slip under, and if he didn't land the left hook or the right hook, he would tie up, disengage or have the ref separate them and, restart the positioning. And I would say just kudos to both guys. Both guys show that they're high-class, high-level fighters. And just another case of wow. Terrence Crawford utterly dominated and made Viktor Postol look like a rank amateur. So, and I think Taylor is the goods. I think Taylor can beat Jose Ramirez right now. I think Regis Prograis is a very tough fight for him. That's 50-50. But Taylor can absolutely win that. To me, this was the battle-tested fight we needed from him. We needed to see him deal with a tough fighter that was, A, bigger than him, too. Historically has more power. And also adapt from that and figure out an opponent. That's a very high-level trait to have, is adaptability. The best fighters in the world can adapt mid-fight. The ones that can't are stuck in their athletic talents, like Viktor Postol. Fast fighter, good hand speed, good power, and obviously the reach and the height. He's reliant on that too much. Josh Taylor has so much more in his toolbox to go back on, to theoretically, fall back on as well, in order to adapt and beat a guy like Viktor Postol. A little bit of a dissent in the chat about Prograis versus Josh Taylor. I want to get your guys' opinion. Is that the fight in the division now? Is Jose Ramirez just somebody with the belt at this point? And I know Alex Lemon is somewhere yelling at me, and I'm sorry, Alex, for even mentioning that question. But a genuine question for you, the fans, is what's the fight in the division at this point? What is the fight that's piquing your interest? Excuse me. But yeah, shout out to Taylor. Shout out to Postol. Especially shout out to Postol, because I don't think anyone expected Postol to come in and, except for maybe people that picked him like Mike in the chat, I don't think anyone picked Postol to look that good coming off the layoff. Because even though he had a in-between fight between the Terrence Crawford and this one, which no one saw, and it was in the Ukraine against some guy that no one can pronounce, that was still a year ago. He still had a year layoff. Not as long as I insinuated in the show on Friday, but it was still a significant layoff. And so just shout out to Viktor Postol. Definitely still showing that he can contend at the top. Like a Viktor Postol Jose Ramirez fight, I might pick Viktor Postol to beat Jose Ramirez. Maybe. But yeah, a lot of people echoing Prograis versus Taylor. That's the fight. Ron saying I think Taylor needs one more fight before Prograis. I probably agree with that. And also, like, all these guys are really young. Like Prograis, Taylor, even Jose Ramirez, Maurice Hooker, for God's sake, even though none of us are talking about Maurice Hooker like he's viable, he is at least a belt holder in the division. He at least needs to be mentioned with these guys in some aspect, even though not competitively, at least business-wise and matchups, he's going to be there. All these guys are very young, undefeated fighters, so I can't wait to see what they can do. Johnny saying I like to see Prograis versus Taylor or Taylor versus Granados. I really like that Granados fight, especially since I don't think they're going to run back Granados versus Javier Fortuna because that just makes zero sense. But yeah, moving on to some other fights this weekend. I'm not going to mention the Martin Murray Roberto Garcia fight because I didn't see it live, and then I heard everything negative in the world that could be said about a boxing fight be said about that fight. So I just passed on that. So I saw all the prospects or other UK fighters. I don't know if Ohara Davies still counts as a prospect. Another question for the chat to maybe answer. Where does Ohara Davies rank right now? But the Ohara Davies, Daniel Dubois, and Anthony Yarde sort of triple header before the Martin Murray main event. For all the people on podcasts, I use massive air quotes for that shit because God, what they could have just like sold it as those three fights, and I think everyone would have still like watched it. Like nobody cared about the Martin Murray fight. Let's be honest. I'm gonna start with Ohara Davies because he was first up. Even though obviously he's more tenured and obviously having a loss to a Josh Taylor who we just talked about. Good segue. Ohara Davies picking up, I think it was a third round or fourth round knockout. I mean, it was one of those where it is so overly dramatic that it's gonna be on social media, in GIFs and videos forever. When you have a guy get hit like that and react so, I'm not even gonna say movie-like. Like you go back to like the Charlie Chaplin like boxer and shit like that, where it's very exaggerated comedy. That's what it looked like, and in the way he flopped on the ground. It was just Ohara Davies picking up a good, emphatic knockout win, becoming a WBC international champion, whatever that means. Ron in the chat saying, Ohara hit him with that rigor mortis. Yes. Oh my God.
He's deleted.
Yeah, he is. God. Wow, poor guy. But shout out to Ohara Davies. I think he needed that. A guy that just has constantly sort of shot himself in the foot in the public media, so to speak, in the public light, and not really having their credentials and stardom to fall back on like an Adrian Broner. Like Adrian Broner has said some downright really stupid shit. Same with like a Tyson Fury, for example. But they have a lot more of accolades and championships to fall back on. Ohara Davies does not. That's the difficulty there. Like if you are I'm gonna use this term loosely, but if you are a nobody, using air quotes again, and you say some really stupid, ignorant shit, the public doesn't forgive you that easily. The reason why we forgive Adrian Broner and guys like Tyson Fury because they are elite guys still. Even Adrian Broner, for everyone that wants to hate on Adrian Broner, he is still a top 10 fighter in whatever division he wants to fight at, let's be honest. So, yeah, I think that's the difference there. But, yeah, shout out to Ohara Davies. Salute to him. Needed that win. Definitely got a lot of public will back in his favor, which he needed desperately. Moving on to one of the heavyweight prospects, one of the heavyweight boogeymen. Like, is he in that level yet, guys? Is Daniel Dubois a guy that he's approaching, what's the term? Like an Inoue way back in the day, right? Like, or Earl Spence way back in the day. Is Is Daniel Dubois that guy? I don't know. Daniel Dubois obviously absolutely whipped Tom Little's ass from post to post, dominated every combination, every exchange, every second of that fight. It was actually kind of depressing to watch. But one thing I want to say is that he definitely does not have the power that I think some people may think he has. I don't see that. I don't see one punch, lights out, unbelievable power. I don't see that. I see powerful. I definitely see that. Don't get me wrong. He's a big guy with a bunch of muscle behind those punches. Don't get me wrong, but I see a Anthony Joshua light. Diet Anthony Joshua. That's what I see personally. He doesn't do the slight defensive things. And obviously this is early in his career, very early in his career, so I assume that he's going to get better through time. But just talking about the comparisons people are making, especially to AJ, he ain't there yet. Mike saying some guys are just tough, man. That is true. Like, some guys are just, like, tough. Maybe Tom Little is one of those guys that you just really can't knock out. Absolutely. I definitely can. I definitely can agree with that. And he did put him out. Like, he eventually did finish him, though it was more of a TKO, like corner stoppage. Daniel Dubois, though, he is just... He's a boxer puncher without any really nuance to his defense or his offense. The one thing I will say is that he does attack the body a lot for a guy this early in his career with that much of a Olympic pedigree and that much power and that much size. I'm shocked that he goes to the body as much as he does. I do like that. Definitely something to pay attention to because I think he can build off of that. But yeah, I mean, good win. Again, another UK prospect that's gotten a lot of hype. People saying, Ron saying he still needs to beat Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora, someone I know to be like, okay. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I don't think any of those fights happen. I don't think a Joe Joyce fight happens. I don't think a Derek Chisora happens next. And I don't know the UK scene because Tom Little is within that scene, right? So that's somebody I don't know. Maybe UK fans know who Tom Little is. Maybe there's, journeyman, gatekeeper, European boxers that he could fight. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the division's so top heavy that do we not think Daniel Dubois can go in and beat Emmanuel Char right now and be like a WBA regular champion? Like, is that out of the question? With a Joe Joyce, I think it definitely is not. Joe Joyce can come in and beat a lot of guys, in my opinion, in the top, out of nowhere. So, yeah, and ABC saying Dubois got potential for sure. Kid's still only 20. Yeah, he's definitely young. And definitely has a good base to build off of. That's 100% true. Nathan Gorman being mentioned by Mike. I wouldn't mind that. Nobody in the UK knew Tom Little, to be fair. Thank you, ABC. Thank you for the clarification. But yeah, I do think that Dan Dubois needs to sort of step it up. I think he's ready for that. Same with the Joe Joyce. They can start moving up the ladder, in my opinion, rather quickly. And I think they're the type of fighters that they're going to learn quickly as well. But I mean, if we have to wait 4 or 5 years till these guys are in title contention, with the Dan Dubois, that's possible because he's 20. With the Joe Joyce, he's 32, 33. That's completely out of the question with Joe Joyce. So these guys need to move rather quickly. And moving on to, I think, maybe the star of the card. I would definitely say probably the guy that is getting the most attention out of everyone on this card. Anthony Yarde versus some guy named Sek. Yarde looked good. Like, Yarde, the thing with Yarde is that he never got out of first gear. I never thought, like, for a second that he was really trying to get him out of there. Yarde was dominating every aspect of this fight. He was slipping shots well, using the shoulder roll well. Great counters, hard shots, fluid technique, especially when you compare it to, let's say, even like an Ohara Davies. Like Ohara Davies seems robotic at times when he throws combinations or when he throws shots. It seems kind of awkward, like it is the way his body moves. But with Anthony Yarde, it's much more fluid. It's much more natural, so to speak. You can tell that he is a natural-born fighter. But he never got a first gear. And that kind of upset me. Because I think he easily could have, and let's say really start throwing combinations to the body. He could have, and he didn't. He was content with slipping shots, throwing single counters, and easily outboxing everyone. Outboxing him like every round, I should say. It was too dominant and it was too much of a coasting affair. But again, I'm not trying to be too harping because Anthony Yarde looked absolutely impressive. But I think he could have done more. I think he gets a little bit too cocky in there and a little bit too content with his work. And with a guy that, let's say, is better than a sec, it's going to be different. You know, if he's just standing there in the shoulder roll, throwing counters, throwing that nice uppercut, the nice right into the body, if he's doing that, but he's getting outwork, he's going to lose rounds. And I think that's just something that needs to be worked on, in my opinion. But moving on to my boy, my homie, Miguel Berchelt. You are the man. Fighting Jonathan Barros on ESPN Plus. I have not watched the Virgil Ortiz card yet. I will watch that after this show. I just didn't have time, unfortunately. I do apologize. But yes, Miguel Berchelt. I don't know. I don't know what to make of him because 130 is such a weird division right now. Like, is Gervonta Davis going to stay here? What's really going to happen with Lomachenko at 135? Could he just move up to... I don't know. Are we going to see guys like Leo Santa Cruz move up to 130 from 126? Abner Morris talked about it. God knows. There's not a lot of guys at 130 to really build a legacy off of for Miguel Berchelt. So I see him having to move to a different division, probably 135, obviously, soon. If not, rather immediately. One thing I will say before I start criticizing him, because there was some flaws in his game I definitely am starting to see. When he is up close and he has you against the ropes, he is one of the most dangerous men in the entire sport. When he starts throwing combinations to the body, he reminds me of an Earl Spence. He really does. Or even like an Anthony Joshua. When Anthony Joshua really starts unloading a combination of the body, it's like, wow, it is terrifying. He has that effect where you're like, I feel every one of those punches just watching it on my TV, and it is rather painful just as a viewer of it. Though him getting to that point is the suspect thing. The fact that really, other than a jab, his go-to is to really overextend himself with a flurry to get on the inside, maybe tie up and then disengage while you're still in the phone booth and unload a combination. That's really what Miguel Berchelt does. And he overextends himself a lot, to the point where he almost fell down in this fight. And I think if you have a talented counterpuncher, maybe even a southpaw as well, you're going to catch him. You're going to catch him with an uppercut, with something, when he leaps in like that and is completely in the air, basically going Superman at you. It's concerning. I hope he goes back and watches it and says, man, I was really overeager, and works on entries to get on the inside, get on the phone booth. I definitely think. Wait, Mike, don't compare me to don't compare me to Skip. Come on, man, that hurts, Mike. Come on, that hurts, Mike. You're comparing me to Skip. But digressing, man. I think that he is just, maybe he had, again, maybe he was just fighting Jonathan Barros and he wasn't worried about the counter, didn't care about it, because I didn't see the overextension as much in the Francisco Vargas fight. But again, Francisco Vargas wasn't really moving and trying to get out like a Jonathan Barros. Like Miguel Berchelt had to hunt down Jonathan Barros. That wasn't really the case for Francisco Vargas, obviously, because it's Vargas. They were in the phone booth exchanging shots. So maybe that's why we didn't see it. But with a really good counter puncher that has really good footwork, they will make Miguel Berchelt miss. And I think they're going to counter him all day. So he needs to fix that. He needs to fix that up for sure. You guys are cracking me up in the chat. But yeah, I really, what do you want Miguel Berchelt to do next, guys? I'm very curious about where do you think he goes from here. Does he try to get like a Gervonta Davis, Tevin Farmer winner or something like that? Or does he just move up to 135 and try to hunt down a big check? Go fight a fucking Ray Beltran before Vasyl Lomachenko does. Heck, you might. Why not? I mean, if you really think about it, if you are Miguel Berchelt and you have Mike saying, oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, you guys are killing me in the chat. Just salute to you guys. Salute. Ron saying Roman, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's such an easy win for Miguel, in my opinion. Like, Roman doesn't do anything that's outside of the sphere of what Miguel Berchelt does. He is completely within that realm, and everything Roman does, Miguel Berchelt does better. Mike saying Tank Davis. I think that obviously is the best fight 130. Like, that, we all can agree on that, right? But does it happen? Does Oscar and Floyd get together and make that fight? Come on. I mean, it's unfortunately, this is boxing. It is boxing. But yeah, I'm go up to 135. Fight Ray Beltran before Lomachenko gets out of surgery, and then you got a belt. You got a belt that Lomachenko wants. That's what you do, in my opinion. You go snag up one of those belts before fucking Loma does, and you get that Loma check. Because that's probably the biggest check you're going to get outside of Tank Davis. And I don't see really any of the 126-pounders moving up to 130 and fighting Miguel Berchelt. Like, I don't see Leo moving up. I don't see Oscar Valdez. I don't see any of the Gary Russell Jr. I don't see any of those guys that could potentially represent money fighting a Miguel Berchelt. So move on. 130 may be just dead for you. And it's just 130 is like 140. They're transition divisions, historically. Featherweight and lightweight, and there's a division in the middle, transition in between. That's usually the case. Alberto Machado, mentioned by Ron, a.k.a. Fighter IQ. Go check out his channel. Really? Like, we're going to see Machado get killed? Come on. And Mike's saying Ray Beltran ain't letting his belt go. That's his green card. Would he let it go for Loma, in your opinion, Mike? But yeah, moving on. And this is actually, just to let you guys know, we are moving on from boxing. So if you want to get out, this is your time. We're going to move on to MMA, move on to the UFC card, and then wrap up the show. Donald Cerrone versus Leon Edwards, UFC Singapore. Amazing fight. Amazing main event. That Victor Postol, Josh Taylor, and Clarissa Shields and Hannah Gabriels, those are the three best fights of the weekend by far. But I may not start at the main event. I may start below it with some of the prelims I saw. I didn't see all of them. I saw all of them, but let's just be honest. Not all of them deserve mention. Jake Matthews. I just want to mention Jake Matthews because he, since moving up to 170 welterweight, he has looked phenomenal. His counterboxing looked pretty great. He looked a little bit jumpy and antsy in there, but the fight was over so fast. He got the rear naked choke. Made him go to sleep. Ron saying you missed the Verge Ortiz fight. Yes, I did miss it. I will cover that in a separate Shit. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, okay? I know I'm letting you down. I'm sorry. But, yes, digressing. Jake Matthews, phenomenal at 170. Definitely somebody to pay attention to going forward, and just always has been. I know he has a couple losses, but the guy is continually getting better. I think he's at a better division now. I think he was cutting way too much weight to 155, and he looks much better, much healthier at 170. And plus, Australia is now becoming a big market for MMA. He's an Australian fighter. You know, let's see what they can do with him. Let's see if they can utilize him in that market. Be interesting to see. Another fight I want to mention is Jessica Eye versus Heather Jo Clark. Jessica Eye, it is so sad the run she had. I mean, she fought everyone at bantamweight at 135, and she went through the murderer's row, and they never gave her an easier fight, or an easy fight, I should say. And I'm glad that she had this moment, because she obviously outclassed Heather Jo Clark. She outboxed her, out-wrestled her, did everything better than Clark. That was to be expected. Now she's at 125. But the post-fight interview, I just want to say, just salute to her, her family, friends, because you can tell the chip on her shoulder, the emotion. That was just one of those moments in the sport, and there's always moments like that where you go like, that's one of the reasons I watch this sport. You know, when you think about cases like Pritchard Cologne and stuff like that are horrendous and make you question, or make me question, you know, sort of the sport that we cover and that we love. But you have moments like this. You have a moment where a fighter is completely emotional and she realizes her potential and she feels like she's on top of the world. That is a moment. So yeah, I definitely want to say shout out to Jessica Eye. Phenomenal fighter, phenomenal fight. Always been a top 10 fighter, I should say. ABC's saying that was some primal post-fight interview. Yeah, that was insane to watch, because you can tell she was talking at Dana. You can tell she was talking at Zuffa and now WME and the UFC as a whole, and saying like, you guys wanted me out of here. You guys did everything to ruin my career, and I'm still here. So just salute to Jessica Eye. She needs that, man. One of the perennial top fighters whatever division she's in, and also one of the better boxers in women's MMA. So just salute to her. Moving on to the co-main event, OSP versus Tyson Pedro. Wow. First off, what a great little first round fight. I love fights like this where you have a back and forth within the first 5 minutes and it's over. It's always a nice clean cut affair, always exciting, especially if you're live. It's always great. Did they make Jessica Eye the underdog? I believe so. I've been saying Heather Jo Clark. It's Jessica Rose Clark. My bad. Mix up the Clarks. I'll give myself gunshots for that one. My bad. Maybe that might be my crow. It's just the gunshots. Thinking about what Mike was saying earlier. Digressing. OSP getting knocked down early. Coming back, getting that arm. Whew. Man, what a finish. And OSP being one of those guys that is just, he is the ultimate gatekeeper. You know, he is the guy that if you cannot beat him, you do not deserve to be in the conversation for a title shot at all. So salute to him, a guy that's been around for a while, put on, if you look back on it now, the career OSP has had, a highly underrated career. So salute to him. Great performance. And again, I mean, just showing the same skills we know he has. That great roundhouse kick, good counter punches, and phenomenal submissions when he gets them, you know. Mike saying to be a light weekend, it was a lot of fights. Yeah, it was. ABC is saying, I thought OSP was going to get KO'd early on, but then he neatly snapped his arm clean off. OSP crazy strong. Yeah, it was. Whew. I mean, as a guy that's torn my shoulder out a couple times, yeah, that makes me scream every time, man. Damn. But moving on to the main event, Donald Cerrone, salute. I mean, to the guy that is just the MMA's Arturo Gatti. And, man, Leon Edwards, first off, wow, what a performance from Leon Edwards. Obviously, it was a competitive fight. It was a fun fight. But Leon Edwards arguably won every round. Like, he won every aspect of that fight. Whether it be the striking, the grappling, the clinch, the Muay Thai, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everything it was that they were doing in there, Leon Edwards was better. He was bigger. He was stronger. His footwork in sense of distance and distance management, man, insane. Leon Edwards, to me, might be one of the best guys of the new generation. Even though he lost to Kamaru Usman around 4 years ago now, I would love to see that rematch, by the way. He might be the best guy. You know, he might have just realized his potential. Even though Darren Till got the knockout against Donald Cerrone, this was utterly more impressive to me because it was dominant, in my opinion. I mean, Leon Edwards, again, outstruck the striker, was the better kickboxer, was better at Muay Thai than Donald Cerrone. I don't think anyone really thought that. Mike saying, LOL, Victor Ortiz part 2. Whoa. Turn that around. Wait. Are you saying that Donald Cerrone is Victor Ortiz? Because that's an awful comparison. Better take that back, Mike. Better take it back. ABC saying, I want to see Edwards versus Till, Birmingham versus Liverpool. Not far from each other in the UK. Both have passionate fans. Would be a big fight in the UK. Definitely agree. I don't know if they should wait till one of them has a title, though. Again, maybe Ron saying Till has to make weight first. Damn, shots fired. Yeah, it's true. But Leon Edwards, I mean, his footwork was phenomenal. I mean, he was in and out easily, slipping shots, landing his own. His kicks were phenomenal. That teep kick to the knee and to the solar plex and the stomach of Donald Cerrone was just on point consistently. It was just an overall impressive performance from Leon Edwards. So salute to him. I definitely think we have a huge star in the making right there. And especially with where the welterweight division's about to turn. We are... Oh, Nija in the chat. What up, Nija? Saying bloody sound bites. Nija, come on. You know when you see MCR on, you're like...
OMG. I am so excited.
I am too. I'm always excited to be here. But I definitely think you have the Colby Covingtons of the world, whatever you want to think about him, obviously. Darren Till, Leon Edwards. You're starting to build the next generation in that weight class. And obviously they're feasting off the old, like a Donald Cerrone. It is what it is. But yeah, I just can't wait to see how Tyron Woodley deals with all these guys. Because that's going to be interesting. Because Woodley's quite an impressive fighter in terms of, at this point in his career, figuring out his opponent and executing a perfect game plan to neutralize his opponent. He's very good at that. How does he do that to Darren Till, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards? Can he do it to all three of them? That is something that is going to be interesting to watch. And if he does that, Woodley's making a claim for GOAT status. I'm putting it out there. ABC is saying 170 is stacked. And it historically has been. Like 170, 155, historically have been the two best and most deep and stacked divisions in the sport. Definitely cannot wait to see what this next generation holds. Salute to Leon Edwards. I want to see the Kamaru Usman rematch personally. I know the bigger fight is obviously Darren Till. Even some other matchups. Like you could throw him in there with like even a Stephen Thompson, and you can sell that, I think, to the wider audience, even though Stephen Thompson should definitely get a tune-up. I think Leon can do whatever he wants right now, man. Edwards is in a position where he's the man. That was a performance. Absolutely. Kind of sucked that they, put it on Fight Pass where I think less people saw it, but it is what it is. That is the name of the game. But yes, I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's that time. It is that time, yes. Make sure you hit that like button. It's always the easiest way to help the show because, again, this is completely fan-driven. No sponsors, no ads. Only you as my board of directors, my loyal Mixed Combat Radio family. Go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio and help support this. All of that money does go towards equipment. It does not go towards bills I have to pay, groceries to feed my kid, nothing like that. All Patreon right now is to build up equipment, build up the studio. I want to get callers. I want to get everything that we can get to make this show big time, So help me out to help you out. Go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. You can find me at Matt Hunter MCR on all platforms. Fighter IQ saying no sponsors. Yet. Oh, do I have anything lined up? No, I don't. But yes, it's been a good one. Hope you enjoyed the fights as much as I did. And go to patreon.com again /Mixed Combat Radio. If you're not gonna be on Patreon, if you're not gonna join on Patreon, there is a poll in that page. This show will become a daily show, Monday through Friday. You get to pick the time, so go vote right now. Absolutely free. Been a good one. Peace.